Welcome to our series about Fort Donelson National Battlefield, located in Dover, Tennessee. Today, we will be at battlefield stop number 3, the log huts. Soldiers and slaves built 400 log huts as winter quarters. All information read is from the signage inside of the national park. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us to Fort Donelson National Battlefield. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this help fire up the time machine, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story.
Photo here says photographs of Confederate artillery are rare and none of Stanwicky's battery is known to exist. This one of the Palmetto battery was taken near Charleston, South Carolina in 1863. Stanwicky's battery. In February 1862, Captain Peter K. Stanwicky commanded a battery of one 8-inch howitzer and two 9-pounder iron guns at this location. This battery helped defend against Union General C.F. Smith's attack on Confederate General Simon Buckner's position about a half mile in front of you on February 15th. The cannon here is an original iron gun mounted on a reproduction carriage. Artillery was essential for both the Confederate and Union armies, supporting infantry and cavalry by terrorizing the demoralized enemy troops. Confederates placed artillery in Fort Donelson and around the town of Dover in an attempt to control the Cumberland River and prevent a federal invasion of Tennessee. This shows an 8-inch howitzer, 9-inch gun. A lot of people do not know this flag. It's called the First National. That is actually the flag of the Confederate States of America. Flies over Texas every day, flies over Six Flags Parks. Smith's position. All this is faded, and so you really can't see this. This is a mile and a half mile. All this needs to be restored.
Fort Donelson National Battlefield, Natural Resources, Carpentry Bees. Caution, carpenter bees are currently arrive at the area of Fort Donelson. Visitors, you are likely to see many bees in this area of the park. These busy carpenter bees are one of the many natural resources protected by regulations of the National Park Service. Carpenter bees prefer dry wood for making their nests. Carpenter bees are also wonderful pollinators. The males tend to have white markings on their face and are very curious. Male carpenter bees may approach close to you, however, they do not have stingers and cannot harm you. The females, when preparing their homes, are very aggressive if provoked and may sting. Please keep your distance and let these insects continue to live their life cycle. Thank you, the park rangers and staff. Life at Fort Donelson. We lived luxuriously in the comfort of tents and log huts. One Fort Donelson soldier wrote, "In the more tranquil days before the cold weather set in, and the armies clashed beside the rations of flour, fresh and cured meats, sugar, and coffee, every boat brought boxes from home filled with things from a farm or store could provide, including uniforms and clothing. The reconstructed log hut represented," and there's the log hut. The reconstructed log hut represents the approximately 400 huts built for fort garrisons by soldiers and slave laborers as living quarters, some 100 of them inside of a 15-acre fort. When winter came, these crude huts with their canvas roofs made from tents and the fireplaces made from stone
from stone, stick, and mud, warded off the wind, rain, and snow, and kept many Confederates from freezing to death. Most of the thousands of soldiers who arrived shortly before the battle were housed in tents or slept beneath a blanket on the ground, and suffered terribly in the bitter February cold. The only known contemporary illustration of the Confederate encampment within Fort Donelson appeared in the March 17, 1862 issue of Harper's Weekly. The view from this area occupied today the National Cemetery. No one knows exactly what cabin at Fort Donelson looked like, but it probably didn't differ much from the ones pictured here by the Confederate soldiers at Centerville, Virginia in the winter of 1861 to 1862. Fort Donelson's defenders wore a variety of clothing, as this photograph of captured Fort Donelson's soldiers shows. Few had uniforms, most wore citizens' clothes. Many of the officers had regular gray uniforms, while others wore U.S. Army blues.
According to the map and brochure called Fort Donelson, published by the National Park Service, U.S. Department of the Interior, and the National Battlefield, Tennessee and Kentucky. Battlefield Tour Stop Number 3, Log Huts. Quote, in addition to government rations of flour, fresh and cured meat, sugar, and coffee, every boat brought boxes from home, filled with all kinds of things a farm or a store could provide. Off-duty soldiers from the local area hunted and fished in the same locations they had been just a few months before as civilians. Sometime after the surrender, Federals burned the cabins because of a measles outbreak. Unquote. Thank you. We at Kentucky, Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our visit to Fort Donelson. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky, Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Civil War history.